I am the sister who never belonged, the charity case, the replacement for the baby they lost. My name is Sophie Bennett. I'm 30 years old. I'm a 5th grade teacher at Roosevelt Elementary in Minneapolis. I make $48,000 a year. I live in a small apartment in Northeast Minneapolis. I drive a 9-year-old Subaru. My adoptive father was James Bennett. He died 3 weeks ago at age 70. Stroke. Sudden. Devastating. James was a doctor. Founded Bennett Family Medicine, a successful private practice in Edina worth approximately $24 million. Built over 40 years. I never worked in the practice, never felt like I had the right, because I wasn't really a Bennett, not by blood. My adoptive brother is Ryan Bennett. He's 33. He's a cardiologist at Abbott Northwestern, makes $380,000 a year, lives in a beautiful house in Minnetonka, married to Amanda, a corporate attorney, 2 perfect children. Ryan is a Bennett by blood. I'm a Bennett by paperwork. Let me explain how I became the sister nobody wanted. I was adopted when I was 5 years old. Before that, I was in foster care. My biological mother had died of complications from childbirth. My biological father was unknown, never identified, never came forward. I spent the first 5 years of my life in 3 different foster homes, waiting for someone to want me. James and Patricia Bennett decided to adopt in 1999. They already had 1 child, Ryan, age 8, but Patricia had suffered a miscarriage the year before, a late-term miscarriage, 5 months pregnant, a baby girl, stillborn. Patricia was devastated. Her doctor said another pregnancy would be high risk, possibly fatal, so they decided to adopt, give a child in need a loving home. The social worker had said, that child was me. Sophie Hayes, age 5, quiet, traumatized from bouncing through foster homes, desperate for a family. The adoption process took 8 months. The Bennetts had money, resources, a perfect home in Edina. James was a respected doctor. Patricia was a stay-at-home mom. They passed every screening. I moved into the Bennett home when I was 5.5, into a family that was broken in ways I didn't understand yet. Ryan hated me from day one. She's not my sister, he told his parents. She doesn't even look like us. Everyone at school will know she's adopted. Ryan, Sophie is your sister now. She's the replacement for the baby, the one that died. Mom wanted a daughter, so she bought one. He was 8 years old and already understood what I was. A replacement, a substitute, a band-aid for grief. Patricia tried. She really did. Took me shopping, did my hair, enrolled me in the same private school as Ryan, made sure I had everything. But there was always distance, always this sense that I wasn't quite hers, that I was the child she'd chosen because she couldn't have the child she'd wanted. You're lucky we adopted you, Ryan told me once when I was 7. You'd still be in foster care if Mom hadn't lost the baby. You're here because someone died. He was right. I knew it. Everyone knew it. James was kinder. He treated me like a daughter, helped with homework, came to school events, tried to make me feel included, but he was busy building his medical practice. Bennett Family Medicine grew from a small office to a thriving clinic with 12 doctors. James was always working. I grew up in that beautiful house in Edina, had everything material, good education, nice clothes, my own room, but emotionally, I was alone. Ryan made sure of it. He told his friends I was adopted, made sure everyone knew I wasn't real family, called me the foster kid even after years of living with them. Sophie isn't really my sister, he'd say. My parents adopted her. She's not Bennett blood. By high school, I'd stopped trying to fit in, stopped trying to make Ryan accept me, stopped trying to pretend I belonged. I went to the University of Minnesota, studied education, wanted to help kids like me, kids who felt like they didn't belong anywhere. Ryan went to medical school, followed in James's footsteps, became a cardiologist, made James proud. Ryan's carrying on the family legacy, James would say at holidays. Maybe he'll join the practice someday. Ryan never joined Bennett Family Medicine, chose cardiology instead. Big hospital, big salary, big ego. I became a teacher, made $38,000 starting salary, eventually worked up to $48,000. Teaching is noble work, James told me, but I could see the disappointment. His adoptive daughter, wasn't continuing his legacy. His son had chosen a different path. The practice would eventually need a successor, but neither of us wanted it. 5 years ago, things changed. James had his first stroke. Minor, warning sign. He recovered but slowed down. I'm getting older, he told me when I visited him in the hospital. Need to think about succession. About what happens to the practice. Ryan had visited for an hour, then left for a conference in Boston. Important case, he'd said. I'd stayed all day, held James's hand, brought him books, just sat with him. You're a good daughter, James said. I try, better than I deserve. I didn't know what he meant then. Over the next 5 years, James had 2 more strokes, each one worse. His health declined. He retired from active practice at 68, kept ownership but hired a managing partner. During those 5 years, I visited 3 times a week, brought groceries, helped around the house, took him to doctor's appointments. Ryan visited maybe once a month, always busy, always important meetings, always saving lives at the hospital. Ryan's doing important work, Patricia would say, defending him. He can't drop everything. I'm a teacher, I'd say. I have a job too. It's different. It was always different with Ryan. His career mattered more. His time was more valuable. His life was more important. 6 months ago, James had his final stroke. Massive. He survived but was never the same. Could barely speak. Needed full-time care. I took a leave of absence from teaching. Moved into my childhood bedroom. Became his full-time caregiver. Ryan visited twice in 6 months. I can't handle seeing him like this, he told me. It's too hard, but me seeing James unable to speak, unable to walk, unable to recognize me half the time, that wasn't too hard. 3 weeks ago, James died, peacefully, in his sleep. I was in the next room. I called Ryan. He arrived 3 hours later. He's really gone, Ryan said, looking at James's body. Yes, did he say anything? At the end? He couldn't speak, Ryan. You know that, right? He looked uncomfortable. I should have visited more. Yes, you should have. The funeral was large. James knew everyone in Minneapolis medical community. 300 people. Tributes. Eulogies about Dr. Bennett's legacy. Ryan gave the eulogy. My father was an extraordinary physician. He built Bennett Family Medicine from nothing, helped thousands of patients, changed countless lives. His legacy will live forever through the practice he built. I sat in the front row, silent. The adopted daughter who'd cared for him while the biological son was too busy. After the funeral, the family attorney Daniel Ross approached me. Sophie, I need you at the will reading. Monday, 10 a.m., my office. Will I get anything? Yes. Your father left specific instructions. It's important you're there. Monday morning arrived. I drove to Daniel's office in downtown Minneapolis. Nervous, unsure what to expect. Ryan and Patricia were already there. Ryan in an expensive suit. Patricia in black, looking older, more frail. Sophie, Ryan nodded. Cold, professional. Patricia hugged me. How are you holding up? I'm okay. We sat in Daniel's conference room. Daniel at the head of the table, a laptop in front of him, a speaker system set up. Thank you all for coming, Daniel said. This is difficult. James was a remarkable man. I was his attorney for 25 years. He updated his will 6 months ago, added specific instructions. What I'm about to read may be surprising. Ryan leaned forward, ready to hear he'd inherited the practice, the family legacy, everything. I sat back, expected maybe $50,000, maybe a car, something token to acknowledge I existed. Daniel began reading. I, James Andrew Bennett, being of sound mind and body, do hereby declare this my last will and testament, standard legal language. I barely listened. Then Daniel said, To my son, Ryan Michael Bennett. Ryan sat up straighter. Here it comes. To my son, Ryan Michael Bennett. Daniel Reed, I leave $2 million in cash and securities. Ryan smiled slightly. Good start. Probably more coming. To my wife, Patricia and Bennett, I leave $3 million in cash and securities, plus our home in Adena. Patricia nodded. Expected? To various charities and organizations. Ryan interrupted. Wait, what about the practice? Bennett Family Medicine? I'm not finished reading. You mentioned me. You mentioned Mom. $2 million and $3 million. That's only $5 million. Dad's estate is worth way more than that. Where's the practice? Ryan, please let me finish. No, Ryan stood up. Before you continue, I need to object to something. Sophie is here. She's listed in the will, presumably, but I need to question whether she should receive anything significant from Dad's estate. I stared at him. Ryan, let me finish. Sophie was adopted 25 years ago. She's legally a Bennett, yes, but she's not family by blood. She didn't carry on the medical legacy. She became a teacher. She has no connection to the practice Dad built. Ryan, stop, Patricia said weakly. No, Mom, this needs to be said. Sophie is technically family, legally, but she's not really family. She's not Bennett blood. Dad built that practice for his children, his biological children. I'm his son, his only biological child. Whatever he's leaving Sophie, if anything, she doesn't deserve the same consideration as actual family. I felt tears burning. 25 years of this. 25 years of being told I didn't belong. And now, at my father's will reading, Ryan was saying it again. Daniel looked at Ryan. His expression was cold, disapproving. Are you finished? Daniel asked. Yes, I just needed that on record. Sophie isn't even family. Not really. Daniel reached for his laptop. James anticipated this. He told me, and I quote, if Ryan interrupts the reading to say Sophie isn't real family, play the voicemail immediately. Don't read another word of the will. Just play it. What voicemail? Ryan asked. The one your father recorded 2 weeks before he died. Specifically for this moment, Daniel turned the laptop toward us, opened a file, a recording. James's voice weak but clear. Recorded in his hospital room. Daniel pressed play, and everything changed. James's voice filled the room. Weak from the stroke but unmistakable. Ryan, Patricia, Sophie, if you're hearing this, it means Ryan said something about Sophie not being real family. I knew he would. He's been saying it for 25 years. So I need to tell you all something. Something I should have told you years ago. But I was a coward. I'm dying now. No more time for cowardice. Ryan's face went pale. Sophie is my daughter, not just legally, biologically. She's my biological daughter. Silence. Complete, total silence. Let me explain. 30 years ago, I had an affair. I was 43, married to Patricia for 15 years. We had Ryan. Our marriage was struggling. We just lost the baby. Patricia was devastated. I was grieving too, but differently. I threw myself into work. That's when I met Anna. Patricia started crying quietly. Anna was a colleague, another doctor. We worked together at the hospital before I started my practice. She was married too. Unhappily, we had an affair. It lasted 6 months. Then she got pregnant. Ryan was staring at the laptop like it might explode. Anna told me she was pregnant. I wanted to leave Patricia, marry Anna, raise the baby together, but Anna refused. She was Catholic. Divorce was impossible for her. She decided to try to pass the baby off as her husband's. I couldn't breathe. Anna had the baby, a girl, Sophie. Anna's husband Mark, he accepted her at first. But when Sophie was 6 months old, he demanded a paternity test. The test proved Sophie wasn't his. Mark divorced Anna, took everything in the divorce, left Anna with nothing. My whole body was shaking. Anna tried to raise Sophie alone, but she had severe postpartum depression, couldn't cope. When Sophie was 2, Anna had a breakdown, was hospitalized. Sophie went into foster care. Oh God, Anna died 3 years later. Suicide. She never recovered from the depression. Sophie was 5, still in foster care. I'd been watching from a distance, hired a private investigator to track her. I knew she was my daughter, my biological daughter, but I couldn't claim her publicly, couldn't admit the affair, couldn't destroy my marriage, my practice, my reputation. Patricia was sobbing now. So I made a plan. Patricia and I would adopt Sophie, bring her home, but we'd tell everyone, including Sophie, that she was just a random foster child we'd chosen. No one would know the truth, that Sophie was my biological daughter from an affair. Dad, I whispered, but the recording continued. Patricia agreed. She knew the truth. I told her everything before we adopted Sophie. I said, "This is my daughter from an affair. She's in foster care because her mother couldn't cope. I want to bring her home, raise her as ours. But no one can know the truth." Patricia agreed. Maybe because she felt guilty about the miscarriage. Maybe because she's a better person than I deserved. She agreed to adopt my affair baby and raise her as if she were any other adopted child. Ryan looked at Patricia. "You knew? This whole time you knew?" Patricia nodded, tears streaming. "So we adopted Sophie, brought her home, told everyone she was an adopted daughter. Ryan never accepted her, called her not real family, and I let him. Because telling the truth would expose the affair, expose my sin, expose that Sophie was actually Ryan's half-sister by blood." The room was spinning. "Sophie, if you're hearing this, I'm so sorry. Sorry I never told you. Sorry I let you grow up thinking you were adopted by strangers. Sorry I let Ryan treat you like you weren't real family when you were more my family than I ever admitted. You're my daughter, by blood. You're Ryan's half-sister. You share my DNA. You're Bennett by blood, not just paper." I was crying. Couldn't stop. "Ryan, you spent 25 years telling Sophie she wasn't real family. She's your half-sister. Same father, different mothers. She's exactly as much Bennett blood as you are. Actually, she's more because she's the one who stayed, the one who cared, the one who loved me when you were too busy saving other people's lives to save time for your own father." Ryan looked like he'd been slapped. "Now for the will. Ryan, you get $2 million. That's generous considering you visited me 12 times in 5 years. Patricia, you get $3 million. You earned it by agreeing to raise my affair baby as your own. You're a saint. I never deserved you." Patricia shook her head, crying. "Sophie, you get Bennett Family Medicine, the entire practice, $24 million worth of medical clinics, staff, patients, equipment. It's all yours. Plus the house, our family home, worth $3 million. Total, $27 million. Ryan stood up. "This is insane. Let me finish." James's recorded voice boomed, stronger now, angry. Ryan sat down. "Sophie, you're not a doctor. You're a teacher. You don't know how to run a medical practice. That's fine. Hire managers. Sell it. Do whatever you want. But it's yours. Because you're my daughter, my biological daughter. And because you were there, every day for 5 years, 3 visits a week. You took leave from work, moved back home, cared for me when I couldn't care for myself. You earned this inheritance not through blood, though you have it, but through love, through presence, through being the daughter I always knew you were but never had the courage to claim publicly." The recording paused. Then James's voice, softer now. "There's a second file, marked DNA evidence. It contains DNA test results, proving Sophie is my biological daughter. I had them done 6 months ago. Took samples during a doctor's visit. Had them processed at an independent lab. The results are irrefutable. Sophie Bennett is my biological daughter, Ryan Bennett's half-sister, a Bennett by blood and by law." Another pause. "Ryan, you interrupted the will reading to say Sophie wasn't even family. So now you know. She's more family than you gave her credit for. She's blood. She's Bennett. And she's getting everything you thought you deserved. Maybe this will teach you something about judging people, about assumptions, about cruelty." The recording ended. The room was silent except for Patricia's crying. Daniel opened a folder, pulled out documents, DNA test results, processed by Genetitis Labs 6 months ago. Sample A, James Andrew Bennett. Sample B, Sophie Marie Bennett. Result, 99.96% probability of biological father-daughter relationship. He slid the papers across the table. Ryan grabbed them. Read them, his hands shaking. This can't be real. Dad wouldn't have had an affair. He did, Patricia said quietly. I knew. I've always known. Sophie is James's biological daughter. From his affair with Anna, I agreed to adopt her, to raise her, to keep the secret. You knew? Ryan turned on her. For 25 years you knew Sophie was Dad's affair baby and you never told me. James wanted it secret, to protect everyone, to protect Sophie, to protect him. Ryan spat. To protect his reputation. While I spent 25 years treating Sophie like she wasn't family when she was, I said quietly. I was family the whole time, by blood, but you made me feel like I didn't belong. Ryan looked at me, really looked at me, for the first time in 25 years, seeing me as something other than the adopted Charity case. You're my half-sister, he said, like he was testing the words. Yes, Dad had an affair with Anna. You're the result, yes, and you didn't know? I didn't know. I thought I was adopted, a random foster kid. I had no idea James was my biological father. Jesus, Ryan sat down heavily. I don't know what this is. Daniel spoke carefully. James's will is clear. Sophie inherits Bennett family medicine and the house. Ryan inherits $2 million. Patricia inherits $3 million plus continued residence in the house if she wishes, though the house belongs to Sophie. Sophie owns the practice, Ryan said flatly. $24 million. And I get $2 million. Because she's his biological daughter and I'm, what? Also his biological son, but the one who didn't visit enough. Yes, Daniel said. That's exactly what James intended. Ryan looked at me. His expression was complicated. Hurt, angry, confused, maybe, for the first time, a little bit ashamed. For 25 years I called you not even family, he said quietly. And you were my sister the whole time. Half-sister, I corrected. Same father, different mothers. But yeah, family by blood. I'm so sorry. Patricia reached for my hand. Sophie, I'm so sorry we never told you. James wanted to protect you, protect everyone. But we hurt you instead. You let Ryan treat me like garbage for 25 years, I said, while knowing I was James's biological daughter. How could you do that? I don't have a good answer, except that I was weak, and James was convincing, and I loved him. Even though he'd betrayed me, did you love me? I asked. Ever? Or was I just a reminder of his affair? Patricia cried harder. I tried. I really tried. But you're right. You were a reminder of his betrayal, of the baby I'd lost, of everything wrong in our marriage. I'm sorry. You deserved better. I stood up. I need to go. I can't process this right now. Sophie, Ryan started. No, you spent 25 years telling me I wasn't family. Now you know I am. I don't know what to do with that. I don't know what to do with any of this. I walked out, left them in that conference room, left the DNA tests, left the voicemail, left everything, drove to Lake Calhoun, sat on a bench, stared at the water. My father was actually my father, my biological father who'd had an affair, who'd abandoned me to foster care until guilt drove him to adopt me, who let me grow up thinking I was a stranger's charity case when I was his blood daughter all along. And my brother, my half-brother, had spent 25 years rejecting me, telling me I wasn't family, when I was exactly as much family as he was. My phone buzzed. Daniel, Sophie, we need to discuss the practice. Transition plans. You're the owner now, owner of a $24 million medical practice I had no idea how to run. Owner of a family home filled with ghosts and lies. Inheritor of a biological father's guilt and a half-brother's shame. My brother had interrupted the lawyer and said she's not even family, so the lawyer played the final voicemail. And the voicemail destroyed everything we thought we knew about who we were. I didn't go back to Daniel's office for 3 days. Didn't answer calls. Didn't respond to texts. Just sat in my apartment, processing, grieving, trying to understand 25 years of lies. Finally, Daniel showed up at my door. Sophie, we need to talk. The practice needs decisions. You're the owner. I don't know how to run a medical practice. Bennett Family Medicine has excellent management. Dr. Patricia Yun has been managing partner for 2 years. She can continue. You're the owner. You don't need to be involved day to day. Why did James leave it to me? Because you're his daughter. Because you earned it. Because Ryan didn't want it, he chose cardiology. Because James wanted to make amends for 25 years of lies. Does money make up for lies? No, but it's all he had left to give. Over the next month, I met with the practice management. Dr. Yun was professional, competent, relieved I wasn't planning to interfere. We can continue operating as we have been, she said. You're the owner. You receive distributions, but the practice runs itself. How much are distributions? Approximately $2 million annually. After taxes, $2 million per year. For owning something I didn't build, didn't understand, didn't want, but it was mine. Because James had been my biological father. Because I'd cared for him when Ryan hadn't. Because a voicemail had revealed everything. 6 months after James died, Ryan showed up at my apartment. We need to talk. About what? About everything. About Dad. About the will. About us. I let him in. We sat in my small living room. Awkward. Tense. I've been in therapy, Ryan said. Working through all of this. And I need to say something. I'm sorry. For 25 years of making you feel like you didn't belong. You were my sister, my half-sister, and I treated you like garbage. Yes, you did. I can't take it back. I can't undo 25 years. But I want to try to move forward. Actually get to know you. As my sister. Why now? Because you found out we share DNA? If the DNA test had been negative, would you still be here? He thought about it. Honestly, I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe I needed the proof that you were family. Maybe I'm that shallow. At least you're honest, Sophie. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I don't deserve it. I'm asking for a chance to start over, to be what we should have been all along. I looked at my half-brother, who'd tormented me, who'd made me feel worthless, who discovered we were blood relatives and suddenly wanted a relationship. I'll think about it, I said. But Ryan, it's going to take time. A lot of time. I understand. He left. I didn't hear from him for 3 months. Then, Sophie, Amanda and I are having a dinner party. Small. Family. Would you come? As my sister? I went. Awkward. Stilted. But civil. Slowly, over 2 years, we rebuilt something. Not what we should have had. Something new. More honest. 5 years after James died, I established the Anna Morrison Memorial Foundation for Children in Foster Care, named after my biological mother, who'd struggled with postpartum depression, who'd lost me to foster care, who died by suicide before I could know her. The foundation provided mental health services for mothers with postpartum depression, prevented foster care placements when possible, supported children when placement was necessary. Your mother would be proud, Patricia told me at the foundation launch. Patricia and I had a complicated relationship. She'd known the truth, kept the secret, let me suffer, but she'd also agreed to raise her husband's affair baby, sacrificed her pride, given me a home. I wish I'd known her, I said. Anna, my biological mother, James talked about her sometimes. She was kind, smart, struggled with mental health. He felt guilty for years. He should have felt guilty for 25 years of lying to me. Yes, he should have, but he did try, in his way, by caring for you, by leaving you everything. Money doesn't erase lies, no, but it funds foundations that help other children. That's something. 10 years after James died, Bennett Family Medicine was worth $40 million. I'd expanded, added mental health services, pediatric care, sliding scale FEs for low-income families. You've transformed the practice, Dr. Yun told me. James would be amazed. James built it for profit. I'm building it for people. Ryan worked as a consultant now. Left hospital cardiology. Helped with the practice part-time. I should have stayed here, he said once. Should have carried on Dad's legacy with you. You weren't ready. Neither was I. But we are now. We'd become friends. Almost. The kind of relationship half-siblings might have if they'd grown up together instead of as strangers in the same house. 15 years after James died, I found a second recording, hidden in his personal effects. Sophie, if you found this, you kept digging. Good. There's more I need to tell you. And your biological mother, she loved you. More than anything. When she had to give you up, it destroyed her. She tried to fight, tried to get you back, but the courts ruled her unfit. Depression, hospitalization, they wouldn't return you. She died believing she'd failed you. I want you to know, she didn't fail. She loved you. She tried. The system failed her. I failed her. You were loved, Sophie, by Anna, by me, even when we couldn't show it properly. You were always loved, I cried. 15 years later and James could still reach me. 20 years after James died, I was 50. Bennett Family Medicine was worth $75 million. I'd married, had 2 children, given them the stable family I'd eventually found. Ryan and I had dinner monthly, with our families. Our children were cousins, growing up knowing they were related, loved, part of something. Remember when I said you weren't even family? Ryan said once. Yes, I was an idiot. You were always family. I just couldn't see it, because you didn't want to see it, because I was jealous of how much Dad loved you. I could feel it, even before I knew the truth. He loved you differently, more, and I resented it. He loved you too, but not like he loved you. You were his redemption, his second chance. I was just his son. You were my brother, half-brother. That matters now. It should have mattered 25 years ago, but it matters now. That's enough. 25 years after James died, I was 55. I listened to the voicemail again, the one that had changed everything. James's voice, weak but clear, explaining the affair, the adoption, the lies, the truth. Sophie is my daughter, by blood. She's Ryan's half-sister. She's exactly as much Bennett blood as you are. I thought about that day in Daniel's office. Ryan interrupting. She's not even family. The lawyer playing the voicemail. The room going silent. The truth exploding like a bomb. My brother had interrupted the lawyer and said she's not even family, so the lawyer played the final voicemail. And the voicemail revealed that I was more family than anyone knew. That the adopted daughter was the biological daughter. That 25 years of being told I didn't belong were 25 years of lies. I built an empire from that revelation, not just the medical practice, a foundation, a family, proof that foster children can become heirs, that adopted daughters can be biological daughters, that DNA matters less than we think, but sometimes it matters more than we know. My brother had said she's not even family. The voicemail said, she's my daughter, my blood, my legacy, and 25 years later, I understood. Family isn't just blood, but sometimes blood reveals that family was always there, hidden, waiting to be discovered. The lawyer played the voicemail, and everything changed. If you believe deathbed voicemails reveal truth and DNA tests change everything, hit that like button. Subscribe for more stories where cruel brothers get exposed. Comment below. Should James have told Sophie the truth while alive, or was the voicemail reveal perfect timing? What would you have done? Thanks for watching. Never insult someone at a will reading, you might regret it. See you in the next one.